Hello, welcome back, Boxer1 here, and today we have an interesting one, the LEGO Ideas Blacksmith from 2021. And it is a really cool medieval set, and it has 4 figures and 2 animals, as well as a very nice looking build. So let's get into the figures first, and then we'll get into, I guess, the animals and the cart. And I guess it makes sense to start with this guy first, since it is the medieval blacksmith, and he is the blacksmith for this set. He looks pretty cool. He has a nice beard. That's pretty common in medieval sets, I find. And he has this longer hair, which looks pretty cool as well. And yeah, he has some nice back printing for his, I guess, I don't know what you call that, but kind of like a big apron that protects you from the metal and stuff like that. But he has a hammer, so he can pound the sword on the anvil. And he just has some nice sand blue legs. Pretty cool. I do quite like this figure. Moving on to the knights, the first knight has a sword, which is pretty cool. You get, I believe, 4 of them in this set, which is nice. He also has this nice shoulder armor, and then a raven, what do I call them? Black falcon shield. I always call them ravens for some reason. But he has a pretty cool face. I quite like that beard like that. And then he has no alternate, of course. But he does have space on the back if you want to give him a secondary weapon and like a clip or something. Pretty cool. I quite like this knight figure. Finally, for the knights, we have this girl, actually. And she has a big like halberd or some type of polearm with the axe head and the spear, which is pretty cool. And then it also uses the, I forget, this long like lightsaber piece. I don't know what it's called, but something like that for that. She has double shoulder pads, which looks pretty cool. And I'll show you her face print as well. Actually, I didn't know she had that. That's kind of interesting. And then, yeah. Pretty cool figure. Oh, just nearly lost that. But yeah, pretty nice figure. And finally for the figures, we have this female archer. I don't know if it's supposed to be like a forest man, or a forest woman, I guess you could say. But she's pretty cool. She has a nice green torso, some nice printing, of course. And then dual molded legs, which is actually quite good color for dual molded legs. I could see that being used on many different mocks, not even medieval ones, but yeah, pretty cool. And then she has the bow, quiver, and yeah, I don't know if she has an alternate face. I don't think any of the figures do. Oh, she does. Yeah, that face. I think I've seen that before. I think that comes in some city sets. Could be wrong though. But yeah, pretty cool figure. I quite like this one. And moving on from the figures, which I think is actually a really good lineup of figures, for this set, I think that's great. Would have liked to get a medieval peasant, just a random like peasant that could live in the top of this house, which I'll talk about later. But let's get into the actual dog. Pretty common husky dog, or I guess not common, but not rare, of course. But husky dog, nonetheless, pretty cool. And we'll transition, wow, transition, beautiful, onto the cart in this set, which can be used by the knights to tow along their stuff. And it actually has one of those shields, so you can actually outfit both knights with shields. And then it also has a lantern, which uses that Harry Potter lantern piece. But yeah, it has the 4 wagon wheels, some random cargo in the back, as well as this, which is actually, if you take the horse's off his saddle, show you how it works, and then you, wow, I'm just gonna, oh, there we go. And then you grab this, you can actually, come on, oop. That fell. Don't know where that went. Let me find that. That is what it looks like on its own. Off the saddle, you put that tan piece in the middle, and it can be like that. It doesn't come with like a saddle, so you can't have a figure ride it, but I'll show you what that looks like. Had to dig deep into the vintage stuff for this one clip saddle, but that's what it looks like with just a saddle. I'll also show you what it looks like with a knight on it. And that's what it looks like. Put the pole arm on the side, and you can have a knight like that. You could maybe even put a flag on there. Yeah, pretty cool. Too bad it doesn't come with a saddle, but yeah, it looks pretty good on its own. Also, something interesting I just noticed, it uses some fence pieces for the side. Pretty cool. But we can move on from this, which I really like the side build, I really like the figures. And, well, I mean, I don't even have to say about this. I mean, I think it should be obvious. Let's get into the thing layer by layer, because you can actually take each layer off and break it if you do it with one hand, but it doesn't break if you do it with 2 usually. Let's try and get this one without snapping it. There we go. And we can remove that layer. We can get first into this. I'm going to quickly repair that. And we can start with the exterior before getting inside. We have quite an interesting little door here using some printed pieces. I don't know if there's any, I don't think there's any stickered pieces in this set, just printed. And it does have this very nice forge area, which has 3 swords. I don't think there are any other inside, but you do get 3 extra swords, so that's really cool. There is this, obviously, the forge, where it actually has the fire or lava, I guess molten whatever, the kiln, I don't know the fancy terms, but it also has the water here, so you can heat, is it heat treating? I forget the words, despite sometimes watching forging videos on YouTube. You basically put the sword in the heat, plunge it into either water or oil, and it makes it stronger. But yeah, this is the cool feature. This, like, thing you would use to heat the fire, or keep it hot, light brick. Red light brick, which I've never seen before, so, or never had before. So that looks really cool, and I quite like that. It looks better when there's not a flash on. I'll actually turn that off so I can show you. And do it. Come on. Oh my. There we go. That looks cool. I quite like that look. But yeah, let's turn the flashback on and then get into the rest of the build. Moving on, we have a little thing here. I don't know what that would be for. I'm guessing it's like picking up the sword after you take it out of there or whatever. Like tongs that they use or whatever you call them. But it has a very nice little bone for some reason. And a pumpkin patch with a minifigure head in that very nice color there. I don't know what it's called. It's like a orangish yellow-orange, I'm guessing. And it has these supports for the next layer, which is pretty cool. Helps keep it stable. And then can also lead into it. This is crooked. Beautiful. But nearly knocked the tree down. They had some more windows on the back. This little area, which I'll show you after this tree, which looks pretty cool. I quite like the tree. Don't mind the dust. I've had it on display for a couple years. Or a year. I don't know how long. Time. But there's actually some log storage in there, which looks really good. I quite like the look of that, and I think that's quite interesting. Just a small details that make it all the better. There's a small little well as well. With a bucket. Yeah, that's a simple build there. But yeah, that's, I think, about it for this exterior. Now we can move on to the inside, which is a bit cramped, but also has a great amount of space and a great amount of details. Specifically, it has some coal here, or whatever, I'm guessing it's coal. And then it has the grindstone. So that's really cool. I like the grindstone for, like, sharpening blades. It has the shield with the Black Falcon's emblem on it. So you get 3 in this set. 2 more of those double-sided armor pieces. A knight's helmet, which is nice to get. There's a cauldron, or small little pot. And then a pan. These, I honestly don't know what these would be used for. Poking at something, I guess. I don't know. Maybe handles of a spear or something. But it has a box full of ingots, which is very cool, that you'd use to make the armor. An anvil on the inside of the house. There's one on the outside as well. But yeah, kind of cool. And then it also has a shovel, a hammer, and a broom. So pretty nice. And obviously the door can open, so you can actually see inside from the outside. So that looks pretty cool. That's basically it for the first layer. And I'm going to show you the second one, but first I'm going to show you how it connects. There's obviously some little studs there, and you can actually just find that and put it in place. And these structures also connect, and this chimney you can actually, oh, you can't see all the way down, but it gives you the illusion that you can. But yeah, it's pretty cool. We can move on to the outside of the second layer with this Blacksmith sign, which looks pretty cool. I think that's probably exclusive. All prints, no stickers, so that's great. First blue roof in this set, carrying on that chimney, of course, as I showed you earlier. We can move around to this side. We have this very nice white and brown with some tan sprinkled in color scheme. More windows with that gold, so that looks pretty good. And we have, of course, just another side. Some cool little details. Nearly knocked the tree down again. And we can move on here, which I think is actually probably one of my favorite things in terms of looks. This very nice wooden area with just like this skeletal wooden frame. But that leads in, there's a lantern on the front, as well as a door. And since there's no real bottom floor or outside like foliage area, we can go right into the interior now, which has a very nice little room here. Maybe the blacksmith and this girl live in that house because there's 2 little chairs there, or just some other peasants. On the box it shows, oops, instructions are falling out, but in the box it shows those 2 in there, so that's pretty cool. There's 2 goblets, or I forget what those are called. Are they goblets? Maybe? I don't know. But it has a chicken leg and some, I guess, salad or something like that. Just a leaf piece. Some candles on the wall. And the chairs are actually made using a very cool technique. I'm not going to take it out because the feet will probably fall off, and I'm going to struggle to get it back in there. But it uses some axes and a singular, like, lights. I think it's the 3 long lightsaber rod to actually make that back design, which is really cool. There's a barrel of probably like beer or some drink. And then on this side, we have an interesting little area with a carrot, which is always good. And then there's a cleaver, as well as another pan. And of course, there's a slice of the carrot, which is a cool little detail. Over here, there's some soup or stew brewing on the fire area. And you can actually move that using this arm, which is another one of those long lightsaber hilts. And here, I have this, which I don't know what that's for. Let's see. Let's see if I can actually open it up. Sponge or something like that. Maybe it's a poop barrel. I don't know. But yeah, pretty cool. I quite like this. And has some nice little details. But yeah, we can move on to the 3rd story. Why did I say poop barrel? I do not know. I'm still questioning my choice of words. Let's actually put this on, and I'm going to put it on off camera. It's super heavy, but you can see how that goes on. It's probably the heaviest layer, honestly. And we can start with the outside of this little area. We have the window in the front, of course, which looks pretty cool, as well as the outward design. And then a very nice gradient of there's black, dark blue, the blue, and then the sand green going up to the top, which I really like that gradient. I think that works beautifully, especially with the Falcons color scheme, or yeah, the Black Falcons color scheme. And then it has the top of this chimney with the little chimney stacks, smoke stacks, or whatever you call them. I don't know. But the top of the chimney, outtakes or whatever, and you have this little area, which I don't know. Some little thing. We'll see on the inside. But yeah, it has pretty cool little design there. Another roof, and we can flip it around. Hopefully not rip the tree off. I'll show you the actual side as well, which looks very nice. And we can move on to another roof building with some actually like decay or like tiles that fell off, which is pretty cool. And then obviously more of those sand green. But there's a ton of these Nexonite shields in here, which is really cool. I quite like that. And it just is a very nice, I guess, A-frame kind of design. And you may be wondering, how do you get inside? This whole panel comes off. I think the front one does as well, but it's also in the way of these 2 things, which makes it a bit precarious. So I'm not actually going to take that one off, but I think it does come off. But you can actually look inside. There is a bed, of course, which looks pretty cool. And that actually is how that's held on with some ball joints. Wow, that's blurry. There we go. Uses ice cream pieces for the top of the bed and a very nice quilt or sheet. There's a barrel here, which actually has the hair for the 2 knights outside, as well as probably their backpack. I probably should have shown that earlier. I forgot I put those in there. Let me actually take that out now. And we can actually put the backpack and compass on her, as well as the hair, which looks pretty cool. You can obviously also put the backpack on the other knight, but it has to go under his armor, as well as her, the same way. And they look really good. I like this guy's hair especially. I just think it looks really cool. Yeah, pretty cool, and it has that like layered design, which also is pretty interesting. But yeah, we can move back up here. There's actually like a bear rug, which is pretty cool. And you can see how that roof actually rests. These 2 pieces go into there. when it's resting on there. And then there's also this little area over here. That kind of explains what that goes for. It's kind of like a little writing area. We have the Once Upon a Time printed tile, as well as a blue quill. So that's pretty interesting. And yeah, there's a little stool, a little candle, and there's a little fireplace up here, which is also kind of interesting. But yeah, I really like this. I like the overall design of the building. So let's get into my full set opinion. My opinion on this set, my full opinion, is that this is probably one of the best LEGO medieval sets that LEGO has ever made. I really think this may actually be the best, in my opinion. I like the medieval town square as well. I don't have that one, so can't really compare them, but this one is really good. I like the building techniques. I like the pieces used. It's a great ideas set, and has some great figures as well. Anyway, I do hope you enjoyed. I know it's a bit of a longer video, probably closer to like 13 minutes or 15 minutes, something like that. But I think it warrants it with this really cool set. But yeah, I do hope you enjoyed. I shall see you next time. Tomorrow we're going to have, or in 2 days, we're going to have a small little castle mock. Usually I haven't done a mock in a little while, so I'm just going to show off one I made just quickly. But yeah, I shall see you next time. Goodbye.